Hello, it's me, Fidiscus. I've got another Advanced Wars by Web replay analysis, but before that I wanted to advertise I'm hosting a tournament called the Mixed Base Open. It's a standard Advanced Wars by Web tournament. It'll be played on all mixed base maps. You can sign up now for free through the 12th of September at challenge.com/MBO2021. As you can see, there's quite a handsome prize pool for a free entry tournament, so I'd encourage everyone, if they can, to sign up. But there's another piece of news related to the Mixed Base Open that I wanted to share before we get going. So, here we have the bracket. There's tons of people entered already. There's 52 players registered, which I'm just elated about. It's super great. But this is going to be a very long bracket, so if we get to 64 players, I think that we're going to switch to a Swiss format with a top cut, and I'll explain why we're going to do that. So as you can see in the winners, you play 5, 6, 7, or you play 6 rounds in winners, and then 7 is grand finals. The problem is not the winner's bracket. If we were only playing single elimination, this would be fine, but we're playing double elimination. As you can see here, starting from this third round of losers, you have to play way more matches in losers to get through all of losers. So that's a real issue, that we're adding just a huge number of games for a loser's bracket, when if we were going to play a Swiss bracket, then it would only be 8 matches. Everybody would play like 8 or maybe 9 matches at the most, maybe even less than 8, depending on how many players that we have. And what we'll do is we'll play Swiss, but Swiss isn't really all that hype, so we'll go to a top cut. So we'll play until we have a certain number of clear winners in Swiss, and that number should be 8 or 16, and then those 8 or 16 players will move on to a double elimination bracket like this one, and that will be more exciting for everybody. It'll be easier for me to run, it'll be less of a headache for everybody involved. I don't think that the players that are in the top cut will mind. It should be a good experience for everybody. If you want some more information about Swiss with Top Cut, I recommend looking into any kind of card game tournament that you can find. Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon trading card game, UFS, although UFS does theirs a little bit differently. We're not going to do anything like that. That's too much information about card games. That's not what you guys are here to check out. What you guys are here to check out is this game between Women of Advanced Wars and Uncharted, Jake's Fortune on Dubious Procession. So Women of Advanced Wars is obviously an alt, and Uncharted, Jake's Fortune is obviously an alt, just like all Advanced Wars by Web accounts and players. They're probably the same person. It's ridiculous that I have to do match analysis of two accounts of the same person playing each other, but there's no other option, unfortunately, in Advanced Wars by Web. This is all there is. So women are playing Rachel. The women are playing Rachel, and Uncharted, Jake's Fortune, unsurprisingly, is playing Jake. I don't know what the gimmick of Women of Advanced Wars is, but I have a feeling about it, and Uncharted, Jake's Fortune, I think, just plays Jake. So we're taking a look at Dubious Procession. The last game I played was some time ago. It ended by my opponent running out of time, so it's a week with no moves. I was pretty happy about how I was doing. I succeeded, I feel, in the cap phase, but that's the only game I'd had on this map, except for one other game which I featured in my Lesson 1 video, where I just allowed my opponent to make 1,000,000 battle copters and didn't respond with an anti-air. So I'm just taking a look at Dubious Procession to make sure that I understand what the cap phase looks like. which objectives to fight over. Like, these cities are obviously really good, right? But controlling these cities might be too difficult. Maybe there's some, like, I don't know how much I should be trying to contest, like, command towers, especially early on, if trying to fight over them as early as possible is good. These cities in the center seem pretty hotly contested. But all these 4 cities are so close to HQs. Maybe you just don't fight over them. Maybe you just fight over the HQ. You win if you get the HQ. Anyways, we'll get started. Okay, so Jake's Fortune sends first infantry to the right side. That means that cap order is going to be something like this, and then here, and then forward, because this one will go forward, or this to the airport. Airport seems pretty likely. Maybe it can go on this line here, but that seems a little bit strange. It seems like the airport would be more valuable. Women of Advance Wars going for the same thing, not going for the aggressive comm tower play, just trying to get enough funds to secure a vehicle probably before they move their infantry forward in order to get the comm tower. If you start moving forward, you're not going to be able to support it if you don't get these back caps and get the money to get a tank first. That's something that Walker did a really good job of instructing me on. When I tease that video again, that'll come this weekend for sure. Okay, so I was wrong. Not going for this city here, and not going for the inside cap and forward, going for these inside ones. And I think that that's a pretty reasonable thing to do. A recon. Jake's Fortunes built a recon, and a recon in a really strange place. Maybe not. So I was saying it's a strange place because moving a recon through a forest is impossible. This is basically a mountain for them. But, you know, this is a lot of shoals. There's a lot of shoals. There's some roads. There's these cities. This is a one movement tile for the recon. There's no penalty for moving through it. But this is maybe a place where you don't want to have to deal with the recon. This will help him secure the comm tower if that's what he's most concerned about. And Women of Advance Wars gets out a tank. I'm pretty sure that this is possible because of the first turn advantage. Why was... Yeah, this is a first turn advantage tank. How much did Jake's Fortunes? It's 4,000. I would have had 5,000. Yeah, this recon kind of makes sense, although Jake's Fortune won't be able to get out a tank next turn, which might be problematic. But the good news is that these 2 mountains prevent this tank from moving in a way that will impede this recon from at least getting out onto... The recon will be able to choose whether it wants to take basically the series of roads to go over to these shoals, or if it wants to move forward and go into these shoals. And I'm guessing that Jake's Fortune is going to go to the right side with the recon. This is a baselight map. I didn't really mention that, but there's not exactly an aggressive side and a defensive side. And yeah, it does look like this recon is... It's still in a place where it has the option to move either up towards the front near the command tower or towards the right. And it seems that the way that funding works on this map, that building this recon hasn't significantly impacted the tank differential. Like, Women of Advance Wars isn't able to get out a tank this turn. Jake is. Next turn, there's only going to be 1 tank from either one of them. Okay. I like this. So this recon gets to move forward onto the comm tower because it's being backed up by this tank. Or it will be backed up by this tank by the time that this tank wants to make an aggressive move on it. And if this tank hits the recon first, then it can't hit the tank first. The tank will get the first strike. That's no good. Women of Advanced War is building their tank on the right side now. That's a little curious to me. I would think that they would want to reinforce this tank over here, but maybe they don't feel that it's necessary. Okay, this is... Okay, so Women of Advanced Wars couldn't get the first strike on this tank without basically giving this one up. Because it'll be supported by this, yeah. It would just die. A mech, okay. X-Fortune's built a mech on the right side. And I think in this game it does actually just function like an artillery. This is serving the role of something to keep to dissuade this tank from moving on to infantry. That's its only serious goal, I think. So I think this is a significant development that Women of Advanced Wars has started capping their... Well, no, because I'm guessing that Jake's Fortune is going to be capping his command tower at this point in time as well. Yeah. Yeah, so they're going to be as close as they can on comm towers. Jake's Fortune does have a slight income lead. What's it coming from? Owning this property here. And this property here. These two properties. Part of that might be the FTA counter. Just having an extra infantry that was able to go this way. Okay, so Jake's Fortune's got... Man, this tank sitting on this HQ can it's got really good movement patterns. But this is a pretty cleverly designed map where it's not even able to really completely help an attack onto the HQ because of this forest. I feel like not being able to move here is a big deal. This is a good distance for HQs to be apart. I like this. Okay, Women of Advanced Wars has capped this right side city, which I think is one of the most hotly contested properties. Yeah, this is a lot of properties that they're taking that are definitely really big. But Also, Women of Advanced Wars units are spread out much... They're spread out a lot further than Uncharted Jake's Fortunes. Okay, so we got action with this recon hitting onto the city. He's going to interrupt that cap. Okay, so the reason that this attack is possible is because this tank isn't able to defend anything. This tank moved too far towards the right side. It's a little curious. Let me go back and take a look at this really carefully. Okay, so this tank moved as far as it could. This is the tank that moved onto the HQ, but you'll see, so Women of Advanced Wars finishes this cap this turn. So moving this tank to the right doesn't serve the purpose that it needs to. This tank needs to be able to cover both of these captures. I'm pretty confident about this. I feel really smart about this. That I feel like I'm identifying what's going on. It's only saving this capture. So it gives Jake's Fortune free reign to hit these. I didn't mean to skip all the way forward. So even if this tank hits the recon here, which it's very likely to do, then this tank is going to reinforce them, or this tank. Both of these tanks are making this attack much safer, whereas this tank is not fulfilling that same role. It's a real issue. There's a lot of problems that Women of Advanced Wars is going to have to find something to do about. This was, I would say, a crucial error. Moving on to one of these forests was probably the plan. Even just moving it like, yeah, maybe this forest, or like even just like here, where it can move one tile more this way. Somewhere where it's able to move to both of these. I don't know. This forest is what's most promising to me. So let's see. Okay. Sacrifice is it's interesting. Okay. This is a good formation. This is a good way to make this counterattack happen properly. Okay, and this is a good supply line of tanks to this battle, so that you can move the tank from this base to this tile here, from here onto the HQ, and from the HQ all the way to the left side, so that you have, and then you can also move tanks from this factory here, from here into the fight. That's something. This C tile is pretty obnoxious. I'm curious to see what will happen. This is a really good defensive formation. It's not quite bustable because of this C tile. I'm pretty sure, at least. Okay, so this is something that I find really interesting, is that Jake's Fortune's primary objective with these tank hits is to just ensure that he has more higher health tanks than Women of Advance Wars. But I'm not really sure that that worked. Feels like... oh, maybe. This is a tank. It's a flying one. This flying tank here, I think, maybe makes this the thing. And he might attack this tank onto this one. But having these two as backups is significant. Yep, I called that out. Just trying to find ways to make sure that his tanks are more effective than his opponents. Okay, this mech is getting to a dangerously effective location. It's not there quite yet. See, this is the significance of damaging all those tanks, is that even though this tank starts this turn at what, like 5 HP? 7 HP, that's not 5. 7 HP, so low health tank. It's not possible for Women of Advance Wars to destroy it, because all of her tanks do so little damage when their health is reduced. If Jake's Fortune cares to, he can just back this tank up to the HQ, or like this city here. Can't quite reach this city, but he can move it here and then here or here and then to the city in the center. And that would allow, I think that repairing the tank on a base light map like this is pretty significant. Just keeping unit advantage in base light maps is a big deal. This is... one of the tanks did die. Uncharted still barely has a tank advantage. Probably doesn't have a tank health advantage. Okay. That's a big attack, the infantry onto the mechs there. Okay, this tank is going here just to serve as a wall for the anti-air, so that it's not able to hit the copter this turn. I wonder if the women will try to just fuel the covering fire. I think that's maybe the play. How much is left in it? 42 out of 57. So if you... I mean... this is less than 7,000 between them. And you would still need more than 7,000. I don't know. Might be possible to get the covering fire right now. I don't know how good that is. I think that one reason that Jake's Fortune might have these infantry over here is to absorb a covering fire. I'm not 100% sure on that. This is not a bad position for them to be in generally, I think. Okay, that's a tank kill. Uncharted's got the block rock next turn. He might be obligated to use the block rock to kill the anti-air, which would be a little lame. Next turn, yeah, here's the block rock. Next turn, Women of Advanced Force is definitely going to be able to use the covering fire. That is a big movement. It's a big movement. Jeez. To think that this thing can move all the way up here. This is like a fighter. And it gets the bonus damage onto planes. That's such a big hit. Just one hit kill the anti-air. That's a pretty devastating shot. Also, this spreads out his net worth a whole lot by putting this copter here. That's the end of the replay. I guess Women of Advanced Force just wasn't going to continue that. The net worth difference is pretty significant, but it would get evened out at least a little bit by the... I would have at least used the covering fire, see if you like that board state a little bit better. We can do that. So, here's the Rachel, show the missile. Wow. It doesn't hit anything. Yeah, isn't there supposed to be like a third missile? Where's it at? HP 1210. Oh, I see. There's two missiles here. Yeah, that doesn't really do anything, does it? So there's two missiles that go onto these infantry. So I think that the Jake's Fortune was saving those infantry in that corner so that they absorbed the health missile. And there's always the infantry missile. Maybe that's an important part of Rachel counterplay. I think that I learned two important things from this match. One is some really good Rachel counterplay, which is that you can eat the HP missile with infantry to substantially reduce the impact of that super CO power later in the game. That's not a hard thing to do, is to just position a big fat group of infantry away from everything else and not have, and you know, just have them do something that looks defensive on the map. And then that's a really big deal. And I think that the cap phase that both of these players did was probably pretty good, to send the infantry onto the inside first to get these properties here. I think that that's a really sensible thing to do, to move them forward together. Turned out all right. I'm really happy with the conversation I had with Walker that I'm going to publish, because I feel like it really did make me see a lot more things. I feel like this analysis was a lot more effective because of the conversation that I had with him. I feel like that this is one of the first times as a analyst, as a commentator, I've felt very good at the game by looking and making the proper calls on what players were going to do, and understanding why things are happening, and not just trying to learn from them. I mean, obviously, that's still the main goal, is trying to learn from what better players are doing. And I don't think that I would have been any better at avoiding pitfalls than either of these guys, but definitely I feel like I've improved a lot, and this is a analysis video where that came out. So, everybody, sign up for the Mixed Space Open 2021. 2021 Mixed Space Open. Sign up for it. There's a quite significant prize pool. Like I said, if it goes to 64 entrants, we'll be switching to a Swiss with top cut format. Good luck to everyone who enters. Somebody sent me a message on Advanced Wars by Web asking me if I wanted to play a game that they thought that I was a cool guy and they wanted to play. I really appreciate everybody thinking that I'm a cool guy, and I'm totally down to play games. Just invite me. Don't feel shy. Send me messages on Discord. I'm Fidiscus 364 3614 361 number 3614 Samuel. Yeah, just let's play. I like Advanced Wars. I'll play Advanced Wars with people. Why not? I'll learn something. You might not. Anyways, good luck.